The old boiled egg.
Boiled egg, stinking it up.
Yeah, well, if I can't cook my eggs, I'll just have a few boiled up, and if I'm in a bit of a hurry in the morning, I'll smash 4 boiled eggs down for me my first meal of the day, and that's my last one. So just before I choke on my egg yolk, got to be careful of that.
Nature's snack.
Yeah.
The old boiled egg.
Yeah.
Do you like to have the yolk still just a little bit sort of gooey, or do you like it fully?
I like it fully
yellow,
dry
and a bit of grey around the outside,
and chokeable.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
I like them a little bit gooey.
Yeah.
How do you get this? You got a tip for getting the shell off?
Yeah, just using the side of your thumb. Yeah,
Yeah,
and because there's a little there's a thin membrane of skin underneath an eggshell when you boil it, and you've got to get that off. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but if you can get that off, yeah, it's between the shell and the white. It's this tiny little film, and if you can start removing that with the shell, then you're done and dusted. Because nothing shits me more than taking the shell away and then getting all the egg white with it.
Yeah,
and then you got to peel it off with your thumbnail and get into it. But no, I love me boiled eggs.
If you overcook it, the egg white gets stuck to
possibly,
the shell.
Mate. Yeah, or I think there's something to do with the cooling of it. So if it cools, if you put it in the fridge straight after you've boiled it, or the egg's still hot, I think that it's hard to take off the shell and that membrane together effectively.
I reckon a chef would have a good method, wouldn't they? There'd be some Gucci little system to do it. Someone was telling me a method where you put, I always thought an egg into directly boiling water made the egg yolk or the shell crack. But apparently if you get a pot of boiling water, and I've done this a few times, and you lower it in gently with a spoon into boiling water, and then you cook it for, it was an exact time, it was like 4 or 4.5 minutes or something like that, and it was coming out pretty good. You could peel it.
I thought you were supposed to boil the water, then take it off the boil, then put the egg in and return it to the boil.
Yeah, I was doing it directly into, and it was going all right. The occasional egg would crack. I think they have to be at room temperature.
Yep. And then you hear theories about putting vinegar or salt in the boiling water, and that stops it from cracking. But I don't know.
It's hit and miss, isn't it? You always get one of those ones. You just butcher it no matter what.
Yeah. But thanks for your patience, boys. I finished my eggs. Good to see you again.
Well, what's your eating regime then? Last episode we talked about intermittent fasting. Towards the end, we kind of discussed that you can't have one without the other. It's like the flip side of the coin.
Yeah.
What you got going on at the moment?
I'm still...
we talked about ketosis.
I'm a creature of habit, and things that are working for me, I generally stick to. So, my 4 eggs a day. Start off my first meal around lunchtime, 1 o'clock, with the fried, pan-fried almonds or
rooster fry up.
Yeah. A bit of kale and some sweet potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I
so
had.
You're generally doing a ketogenic style diet?
Yep.
Low carb, high fat?
Low carb, high fat and high protein.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plenty of red meat?
Yeah. I could eat some more red meat. My wife doesn't like a lot of red meat, so we will have probably red meat once, maybe twice a week, mostly just once.
Yeah.
Then the other meat meals will be, we eat a salmon meal, then we'll have a chicken meal, we'll have a vegetarian meal, so my wife might make up a nice, what do you call those? A quiche.
Oh, quiche, yeah.
With
nice.
spinach and
Eggs,
stuff in there, yep.
Really?
So, we mix it up a little bit, but we do have a weekly or nightly plan to our meals. We throw something different in every now and then, but the kids pretty much know what's going to come every night.
Taco Tuesday night?
Yeah, we have taco nights every now and then.
We heard about your pizza night.
Yeah,
the pizzas. Yeah, we homemade pizzas. Yeah, the kids love those, and we'll just chuck different things on there. Often salmon, or some red meat on that.
Not to be too dogmatic about it, but you're running the keto kind of diet.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I have very, very limited carbs. I don't eat bread. I don't eat pastas. I don't eat processed foods. Pretty much a meat substitute and anything natural that I can get. So generally in summer it's more salad type meals, and in winter it's more your veggies and your root veggies and stuff like that.
What do you think about fake meat? You get into a bit of soy based meat, or insects maybe?
Yeah.
Insects have got to be better than fake meat.
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
But
I'd eat insects. I would not eat
a
fake meat. I'm not eating soy based meat.
No,
joke.
that fake meat. That's just a scam.
If you don't, tofu sausages or like a burger, that if you want to eat the meat, eat the meat. Why do they have to make it weird?
Yeah.
Like a weird hybrid thing.
Well, we know a guy who's a vegetarian because his wife told him he had to be, and he eats fake, like fake sausages or fake hamburger patties.
We might have to give him the right to reply at one point, but we'll
And
have
his
to quiz him.
farts stink. he's got the worst smelling ass. Lovely guy, love him to bits, but you know, if you're gonna, like you say, if you're gonna eat meat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, just have a dal or something. Don't feel like you need to have a fake sausage.
Yeah,
Well, if you want to,
I don't
do
even-
it. Like I'm all for choice, but
yeah,
it's,
exactly.
I don't even like the puns they used for the, you know, like I can't even think of any right
You
now.
mean like mouthfeel or something when they're trying to make the soy-based products?
Nah, you know,
the
like
texture of bacon, like fakin, or
it's a pun. Fakin, you know, like fakin. Here's this lovely meal
Oh,
of
I
fakin.
can't get you. Yeah,
It's a pun. Yeah,
yeah,
they annoy me also.
yeah. But the whole insect thing, I had a laugh the other day because there's a headmaster in Wales. I saw this article, and often you don't know how true these articles are because there's so much bullshit.
Was it
and
mainstream
propaganda.
media?
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, that's the first problem.
But the headmaster is introducing insects to lower school children to get them used to. So they're already brainwashing the next, the younger
Yeah.
generation into a movement away from eating meat and being forced to eat insects. And I just thought to myself, if these people are in Wales, I've got a lot of friends from the UK, and they are shit scared of seeing a bug. Have you seen an English person? Like, you know, Aussies, like we pretty much grow up with bugs. You know, you got spiders and snakes.
Don't you have kangaroos bouncing down the street? Yeah, we do.
How is a person from the UK going to eat an insect when they can't even handle being in the same room as one? Or they freak out when they see an insect in the corner.
Interestingly, I was listening to Paul Saladino, the carnivore MD, and his recent podcast was just discussing that there was a study came out about children's first meal after coming off breastfeeding. Their first meal that they should be eating in that time, you know, about six to 8 months after they're sort of weaning off breast milk, the ideal food for them to eat is meat.
Yeah, right.
So I could probably reference that study if I.
that was based on a study result, was it? Like
Yeah.
they looked into it. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
I
getting-
don't really
it's-
agree they should wean at 6 months, but that's just a personal.
I think
I think
that-
if they're having solids and breast milk, I think that's probably good. But
I think that was it. I think he was talking about sort of 12-month plus breastfeeding.
Yep.
So don't quote me on that. I'll find it so that we can put it in there because now I've referenced it. We probably should. But yeah, the nutrient density of meat. I think he would love you to eat some organs, but
That whole carnivore diet is, they reckon is pretty good for people with gastrointestinal issues. And
yeah, I follow him a fair bit, and I have tried the carnivore diet. I did it for 8 weeks last year. I felt amazing. I felt great.
Yeah. Is there a recommendation to eat more organ meats?
Yeah, he's got some recommendations on.
Because organ meats are supposed to be a lot better for you than the sort of muscle meat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the nutrient density of the organs. I think if you look at ancestral man and when they went hunting, a lot of the elders in the tribe were given access to the organs first, and then the muscle meat went to. Yeah. So traditionally, he suggests that everyone sort of prioritized the organs, knowing that they were nutrient dense.
is it to do with I haven't boned up on this for the podcast, but isn't it the glycine methionine ratio or something like that as well of the muscle meat versus the organ meat?
Yeah.
Along with other things. So
Yeah.
you want to obviously have a good balance of those.
Yeah.
If you're just having the muscle meat, then you're not going to get
As
that ratio right.
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah.
Organ meat just tastes like shit.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steak and kidney
Suppose
pie.
depends on how you cook it, I suppose. But I remember my wife and I were in the UK with the whole mad cow thing, and that was in its full peakness. And it was recommended that you didn't eat, your normal meat. You ate organ meat. So we were eating livers and kidneys and stuff like that. And I just,
Yeah.
it tasted. Well, maybe I wasn't cooking it very well or seasoning it very well.
I mean, kidney kidneys stinks.
Yeah.
It smells like piss.
Yeah.
It's quite
I'm not
tasty,
gonna-
though, don't you reckon?
Well, you might have to get a good one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten ox's tongue?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
I've seen those things. You don't see them in the shops anymore, but back in the day, you used to see ox's tongue.
You did see more of
think
that
I-
stuff, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm sure I
Yeah.
had it at a restaurant.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty meaty, eh?
Big thing.
Mm.
Yeah, it looked like it'd be chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember when me and my wife were travelling, we were in Germany, and I thought I really understood the German language a bit, and I thought I got a menu given to me. It was all in German. I thought, right, I'll order something here, and I thought I was ordering essentially a steak, and what came out was like sort of boiled or seared liver,
Oh, lovely.
and I saw it, and I thought, doesn't look like a steak. And as soon as I had the first bite, I knew what it was, but I ate it out of being stubborn. I'll admit I didn't really enjoy that too much.
Yeah.
No, I
I
think
basically ate it. I didn't want to make a fool of myself and have to
it
admit
needs
that I
to. I think it needs to be in with other things.
maybe a
Yeah.
sausage or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Maybe get
Yeah.
like a sausage with a few different organ meats and some normal meat in there or something like that. Might be
I've done
okay.
it with some mince.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I'm the same as you. It's hard going. So
Yeah.
I take a few desiccated liver supplements.
So you've eaten a carnivore diet. You've tried it for some time.
So,
How long did you
well,
try it for?
He called it animal based is what Saladino calls it. So I sort of followed that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Does that include any vegetables or fruits at all?
it included, so it was pretty much meat, fruit, and honey.
Okay.
Pretty much. The least toxic foods he talks about. So he talks about plants having toxins and defense chemicals in them. So they're not ideal to eat.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this a lectin sort of argument? The plants have the natural defences which destroy our gut.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sort of thing. Plant lectins.
Well, are they more grain based kind of stuff? I think he's talking about sort of phytochemicals in leafy green stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I
yeah.
thought they were a good thing, phytonutrients. I thought they were a necessary, because that was one argument against the carnivore diet, was that you needed to compensate for the lack of phytonutrients in the diet.
Well, he's talking about that they've got these defense chemicals in them.
Okay.
Fruits obviously want to be eaten. They want you to swallow their seed and then.
Ooh.
and
That's another podcast.
Yeah. and they distribute the seed around the place so it grows, but plants can't run away like an animal can, or they want to defend themselves.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I just found it interesting. It's definitely a restrictive diet, and like he says, if you're thriving the way you are, just continue going how you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not, and things are an issue, and you can't really work out what they are, I mean, people have a lot of issues with nightshade kind of stuff.
Mushrooms and all.
Yeah, tomatoes, capsicums,
yeah.
eggplant, that kind of thing. He's sort of suggesting give this a try. If it helps, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
It's that same old argument that comes up again and again. Just do what you feel is right for you.
Yeah,
So
it's
one
all
diet
individualized,
doesn't
isn't
work
it?
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carnivore probably works really well for some people.
Yeah.
Plant-based probably works really well for some people.
Yeah.
Mediterranean, sort of omnivore.
It's
Some
sort of
other people.
achieving that metabolic flexibility, isn't it? So getting your body to be efficient at abstracting or obtaining energy from different means.
Yeah.
Well, at any given time, we're burning a series of fatty acids, amino acids, glucose, right? So
Yeah.
if we are metabolically flexible and able to burn any one of those at any time, that helps a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can
think-
flick over seamlessly, that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Metabolic flexibility. Is
But I
that what you
think
said?
the very vast majority of people are not metabolically flexible.
No.
Westerners.
Yeah.
I think most Westerners solely rely on the glucose
Yeah.
Yes.
sort of
Yeah.
pathway. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cycle, isn't it? Really, the way we eat. We talked about it in the last podcast briefly, but if you have a high carb diet, your blood glucose or insulin levels are high, which increases your fat storage. The different endocrine systems, so hormones, leptin, ghrelin, kind of going sciencey, different lipases and CCK. What What's that one?
cholecystokinin.
Yeah, there you go. You know, the cycle of eating every 3 hours with a high carbohydrate diet, blood sugar goes up, insulin goes up to get that back to normal. You aren't satiated and you feel hungry again and you need to eat again.
Yep.
And those calories that you're not using are getting stored as fat.
Yeah, well,
then the
our
whole
bodies are
cycle.
engineered to store that excess energy in the event of a food shortage.
Yeah. And we have probably 40, 50,000 stored calories on our body.
Exactly.
We didn't touch on those in fasting, but if we can utilize that storage rather than food energy, we're going to be better off.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to carry much fat, do we?
No, you don't.
That's not like fat shaming people are saying you shouldn't be fat, but if you just read pure science, we don't really want to carry much fat if you want optimal health. It's just true. Like if someone chooses to be heavy or whatever, that's their choice.
Well, we're not designed.
But the science doesn't support it for wellness.
Yeah,
And evolutionarily, we're not designed to carry lots of fat.
No.
We are designed to carry some in the event of long periods of not eating.
Yep.
But to be optimal, if we were hunting and gathering, we would need to sprint to get away from things or catch our prey. We'd walk for long distances. And being a sprinter, you don't see too many obese sprinters.
No.
No.
But therein
Because
lies,
they're
Jones,
adapting.
therein lies your balance. You know, your fat storage for a shortage of food back in, you know, those ancestral days. But then your balance of exercise and hunting and going out, walking and sprinting and things like that. You
So
know,
you're fattening up during summer, eating probably a lot of fruit, honey,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
storing that fat. And then as you go into winter, when
Yep.
things are a little bit leaner, there's less of those items out there.
yeah.
You're gonna
And you've
go on
probably
a
got to
hunt.
go out and find it. And
Yeah.
so therefore you're utilising that fat store. But
Yeah.
Smitty, you touched on a tricky point there. I think our modern society sort of, it's become fashionable to be overweight. And I know there's this body identity thing where it's okay, however you want to project your image or how content you are with how you look or feel. And that's cool, but you can't deny science, as you just said,
No.
that being overweight or massively overweight is not good for your health.
No, the
It puts
science
undue stress on your vital organs that is not healthy. So identity aside, you know, the science of health and wellness doesn't do well for being overweight.
No, it doesn't. You just can't get away from it. You hit the nail on the head perfectly. If you want to be heavy, if that's who you are and that's the lifestyle you want to lead, you're not going to enjoy as much wellness as someone who's lean.
Do you think it's maybe an excuse, this whole identity thing? Because maybe someone who's overweight can't be asked losing it or committing or having the discipline to train or eat properly. They're quite happy to live a lifestyle that is conducive to being overweight, and that body image, I'm happy with what I look like.
Let's face it, some people have a lot of trouble losing weight.
Yeah.
For some people, it is a real struggle and they will gain weight just by looking at a bit of bread. So some people have real difficulties, whereas some people can lose weight effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like I touched on in the last podcast, I've always been very tall and lean, and I can lose weight very, very quickly if I want to. So I could have a blowout. I could eat like crap for a month, 2 months, 3 months, put on a bit of weight, and I could lose it just like that.
Yep.
Whereas there are people on the flip side of the coin that really struggle to maintain a healthy body weight
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Just their body makeup is different. Their biochemistry is a bit different. So
should they be the ones then that are more disciplined and, strict with their lifestyle instead of just,
yeah, well,
can you just blame genetics all the time?
no, you can't. I don't think you can just blame it, but I think it's certainly harder for some people.
Yeah.
And I think people should just do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of personal freedoms,
Yeah.
which I think we're seeing eroded a little bit in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I wouldn't say anyone should do anything, but I think if you want to live your best life in terms of wellness, then the evidence supports the fact that you need to be lighter.
Yeah.
We talked about gene expression a little bit on podcast 1, where we have the genes, we have the makeup to thrive and be healthy and happy, and the way we express those genes, or what we do, epigenetics, determines the outcome, really. So if we are fit and active and healthy, we're going to express those genes for a fit and active, healthy person. If we don't do that, the genes are going to go the other way, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit about environment and a bit about your choice. So everyone has the ability to be fit and healthy, I think.
Yeah. And like Smitty, you mentioned there are percentages of people that can't lose weight or find it hard to control their weight. I sort of think that there are a lot of people that can do a lot of things about it. And I just think the health epidemic, or the ill health epidemic in our society, puts a massive burden on the rest of society. So you got, the medical system for people that are unable or unhealthy because of their lifestyle. Yesterday there was a news article on mainstream radio talking about, they had a lady from the Heart Foundation talking about the recent surge in heart attacks in light of the Peter Matura heart attack, because he was chopping wood. They made sure that they put he was chopping wood on the front of the newspaper.
Dangerous. Man, I live a dangerous life out in the country. I chop wood all the
chopping
time.
wood is a hard task
For an ex-professional athlete.
She was saying that heart attacks happen every day, and she said that heart disease causes 50 people a day in Australia to die. Something like that. I'm sure it's 50 people a day die from heart disease.
Possibly more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds conservative.
How is the burden on our society, our medical system, our health system for that a condition? And I know there are genetically disposed people that that would suffer that condition, but if it's a lifestyle heart disease, I just find it it's a touchy subject when those people are putting such a demand on the rest of society because of their lifestyle choices.
I'm passionate about freedom,
Yep.
about personal freedoms. And yep, they do definitely put a burden on the health system, as do smokers, as do people that
Exactly.
drink too much alcohol,
Yep.
as do people that do zero exercise, as do people that abuse drugs. But people are going to make their own choices.
Yeah.
And I think it's a slippery slope you go down when you start mandating anything.
Yep.
I'm very much against mandating personal health decisions. I think people should be motivated to do it through education and through encouragement. But I don't think I don't think we should be shaming or forcing anyone into doing anything.
Yeah, good call.
That's such a tough topic or issue, isn't it? And we've seen it recently. I mean, very controversial, but we've seen these vaccine mandates.
Yep.
I don't agree with them at all.
No, nor do I.
And I don't believe any of us in this room agree with them. So you can draw some parallels, can't you?
Yeah.
If you say, well, these obese people or sedentary people or people who smoke are a massive burden, well, yeah, they are, but what's the solution? Do we start mandating everything, or?
Well, I think the solution was, you just hit the nail on the head there, was education.
Education, encouragement.
Yeah. And how many of those people that are smokers or that are unfit, unhealthy, on the verge of heart disease don't know a lot of haven't had the education on how a good lifestyle is lived.
We touched on seed oils last time. How many people would know that seed oils and vegetable oil is terrible for you?
Yeah.
Not many, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, especially you go into the supermarket and it might have the 5-star health rating tick.
Ridiculous. It's crazy.
I think stuff like Nutrigrain.
Yeah.
Maybe not Nutrigrain, but maybe it does. I don't know. But I see some ridiculous foods with that 5-star Heart Foundation health tick, whatever it is.
You have a look at soda water.
Come on.
Soda water's health rating is 0.5.
0.5, yeah.
It's water with a tiny bit of sodium.
Yeah.
How is that bad for you? Well, you can't have too much salt. Well, okay. Instead, I'll have my 4-star orange juice.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. that's going to shoot my blood sugar through the roof. And
One of the worst things you can have. Big glass of OJ, you're going to have a massive spike in insulin.
Yep.
Then you're going to crash. Then you're going to be really hungry, and the cycle repeats itself.
yeah, well, that's right. We talked
Terrible.
about that a little couple of minutes ago. We decrease our carbohydrate intake, increase our fat intake. It's probably controversial to say because people. The standard thing is you don't eat fat, right? You have your grains and your legumes and dairy. By saying reduce those kind of things and increase our fat, well, then we're sort of upregulating those genes involved in burning fat, ingested fat as well.
I mean, fats aren't fats, are they?
That's right.
There's definitely a big difference between having your seed oils, maybe having a bit of canola oil, versus some of your very good, like eating an avocado.
Yes.
Avocado is full of fat, full of really good fats. It's going to have a lot of health benefits.
And saturated fat's been demonized too, and that's probably a whole nother hour or podcast to talk about that.
Yeah, most definitely. But
how that has been.
It's not the whole story, is it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The old back in, I reckon it was the 80s when that whole low fat concept came out, and you look at the label and it's just pumped full of sugar.
Sugar, just replace fat with sugar.
Yeah,
the worst.
Or chemical sugar.
I mean, we're talking
Synthesized
conspiracies here, but the whole sugar industry demonized fat to increase profits in a low fat, inverted commas, food items.
Look at our great grandparents eating bread and dripping.
Yeah.
Imagine saying you're feeding your kids dripping these days. You'd probably get put in jail.
Yeah.
They enjoyed better health than the current generations do. So
I remember as a kid, my mum had a big baking dish in the fridge of solidified fat, and that was used every week. I don't know how long she rotated it through for the weekly roast.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. And it's just butter, even butter as opposed to margarines. But I think that you hit the nail on the head, Jones. Yeah, and you also mentioned it one of the podcasts a couple of weeks ago about the seed oils. Definitely such a
Get rid of them.
Yeah. It's so
Hydrogenized,
carcinogen,
heavy chemical production to get them.
Yep. And
not to be rancid and stable to be able to take home to cook with, and then you cook with them, you're adding extra heat.
Yeah.
You're just oxidizing. Yeah.
Yeah. You process grains as well.
Yep.
So inflammatory.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, inflammation is a big part of the problem with fats. If you're taking on board fats and you're very inflamed, then you're more likely to uptake those fats into the vessel walls in your arteries. Whereas if you've got low inflammation, that's not going to be so much of a problem. And I think, Chris, you might have touched on that last week or the week before, perhaps. But there's a big debate in saturated fat and how much that you uptake in the absence of inflammation. So if you're not inflamed, doing things that inflame you, then we can possibly eat a much higher level of saturated fat and not have any of those concerns around uptaking it into your arteries in a negative way.
That's what they talk about, is cholesterol the arsonist or the fireman?
Yeah.
Cholesterol is there in damaged arteries, but is it there to fix the damaged inflammation?
Yes.
Or is it the one causing the issue? Yeah. So that's all. It's also another podcast really to talk about cholesterol and how that is been demonized as well. And, So,
Is that another conspiracy to get people on that? Is it statins, that drug, the cholesterol?
Oh, definitely.
Lowering thing? I mean,
well, we can talk about pharma as well, and
we'll touch on all that stuff, but
Hey, I listened to an interesting podcast from Robert Kennedy Jr. the other day, and he was discussing the forever chemical called PFOS and PFOA, and I'm not quite sure of what those initials are. I can't recall the actual name of it, the scientific name, but if you wanted to do some Googling, PFOS, P-F-O-S, or PFOA, they're a forever chemical. If anyone wants to look at a good movie about it, it's called Dark Waters, which Mark Ruffalo starred and directed in, and it's based on a true story about how PFOS and PFOA was being released into a farmer's creek or riverbed, and so his farm animals were consuming it by drinking out of the river, and therefore just actually going senile, having massive brain wig outs, some cancers that were the size of watermelons developing over a very short period of time. Anyway, this chemical, it's also found in firefighting foam as well, so a lot of firefighters absorb this chemical. And the thing, why it's called a forever
Teflon,
chemical,
yeah.
why it's called Teflon, Teflon fry pans. Yeah, it's in there.
Did you listen to the latest one with Bobby? He was talking about it's also now in pizza boxes, takeaway containers.
That's where I was going to. That's
Oh,
where I was going to. So it's leaching. This chemical is called a forever chemical because our bodies aren't designed to break it down. So our bodies are pretty good at breaking down certain chemicals and excreting it out of our cells. It cannot get rid of PFOS or PFOA, and it actually slowly accumulates in your body over time. They're finding it, as you say, Chris, in food wrapping. So food, it's like a wrapping on a hamburger, and the inside of that wrapping is sort of like a slippery,
bit shiny,
smooth thing. It's pretty much like a Teflon fry pan. It's that smooth texture. Well, that's full of PFOS or PFOA, and is leaching into the fast food that people are eating. I bet you not many people would know about that. I didn't know about it until I listened to this. I knew the chemical existed because I've seen certain studies on affecting certain professions, but did not know that in fast foods it is being used in wrapping and leaching into food.
And people don't know it's there. And they haven't told us about it. They know that this is bad stuff. They've done the studies on it.
Yeah. But only recently have they accepted the fact that this stuff is poison. They've only just recently finished or concluded with studies to determine that fact.
And the reason why they couldn't is because it was a immunosuppressant. So you might present with some issue if you had it. I might present with something different. So they couldn't tie them all together.
Okay.
It wasn't that everyone that ingested this stuff all had a brain tumor. They were all different kinds of things. It's kind of But they now know it's definitely it causes kidney and testicular cancer.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty bad for all-cause mortality. Just does a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that like Teflon's really bad? I would encourage anyone using Teflon fry pans to change to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not very fancy. I just use a very plain stainless steel fry pan.
Yeah.
And I've heard arguments, even people say you shouldn't use stainless steel. I'm pretty happy with that. But isn't it funny that Teflon really was designed so we didn't have to use fat to cook with?
Yeah.
People were so obsessed with not using fat.
Yeah.
Wow.
That we're getting this horrible chemical non-stick coating over the top of our fry pans so that you're not putting in your... I cook most of the time with olive oil at a very low heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't cook my food very hot usually. If I'm going to cook very hot, I'll use like a coconut oil or something like that. But just for every day, like I cook eggs every morning, same as you, Roo. I have eggs with avocado and sometimes I put in some bacon and a bit of mushroom, but I'll just put in a bit of virgin olive oil, very low, and then I'll sort of bake it in the oven to finish it off like a bit of an omelette.
Nice.
I use my bacon fat.
Oh, delicious.
Save it.
Yeah.
Cook the eggs in that. It's amazing.
Mm.
Like you were saying with
It's
your mum
always
keeping the dripping. We've got one of those little ramekins.
Oh, you actually physically strain it off and keep
Strain it off.
Yeah.
Throw it in there. Yeah.
But Teflon's bad news.
Yeah.
All these long-lasting 1,000-year chemicals. Yeah. We definitely want to stay away from them. It's what it is we're getting away from nature. Every
That's
time you
right,
get too far away from nature is where we go wrong.
Yeah.
So if you look at food from the supermarket and it's got 1,000 letters and symbols and chemical names after it, maybe think about avoiding it or limiting it. Let's try and get back to natural food. Like for us in our family, we try and eat mostly organic, which is expensive, and that's one of the main downsides.
Yeah. Well, we're the same, but that's a sacrifice we've made.
Absolutely,
and we're saying,
okay,
well, I'm not going to buy 15 pairs of shoes a year.
No.
I'm going to prioritise my health and go with buying something organic, spray-free. We know it's not GMO. We know it's not got any glyphosate on it.
Yeah. And glyphosate again.
It's a priority, and I know it's tough and it is more expensive, but if you're keen on being healthy, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, you reap the rewards.
Yeah.
I think if you put good food into your body, like I'm a little bit different to you guys. I'm a bit controversial. I believe fat is quite good for you and not damaging, but I still do eat like a bit of a Mediterranean diet. So I don't follow keto diet. So I eat some pasta and we have some gnocchi, and I wouldn't say I eat too much of it, but I certainly have it. And then I intertwine that with fasting and different periods of fasting.
Yeah.
But that seems to work for me and my family. It's a little bit more family friendly for us.
Would you know what your sort of macro breakdown would be? Percentages or on Rooster? I know you would probably be.
Yeah,
you'd have a ballpark figure, but
No, mate, I don't count my calories. No.
But you'd know though, right? You'd go, okay, I'm getting Well, for me, I reckon I get about 20% of my calories from carbohydrates. Fats would be a bit higher, and then probably fats about sort of 40, protein about 40.
Yeah, pretty fair breakdown.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and we talked about it before. It's an individual thing. I've got to that point over several years, and I have tried a few things. I have tried keto. I've tried a carnivore diet. I haven't tried a vegan diet. I'm probably not going to be honest. But I kind of fall back on sort of a paleo sort of primal kind of diet. I'm not sure about too many nuts and seeds. They got a lot of oils and ratios in them I'm not really sure about. I think they do a little bit of stuff to my
Guts.
tum.
Yep.
But well, that's where I end up. So I was just
Yeah, I don't count.
yeah.
I wouldn't have a. I have looked at it in the past,
Yep.
sort of more like snapshots of what we're getting, but I certainly eat a lot of fat. Like I eat a lot of oily fish.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of avocado. I cook with a lot of olive oil. I have my medium chain triglyceride oil in coffee sometimes, have C8 oil and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not averse to fat, and I'll try and get a lot of fat in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, our brains are made of fat. Our cell membranes are made of fat. We need to have a lot of good fats going
Yeah.
in. That's my opinion. Eat quite a bit of protein. We eat quite a bit of meat. I'd say we'll probably eat red meat at least 4 days a week.
Yeah. I'm
Have a bit of fish in there. I try to avoid deep sea fish as much as possible for the mercury. So I like to eat a lot of sardines and mackerel. It's good for me. Anchovies I like.
Yeah.
We'll occasionally have some pelagic fish.
Yeah.
Occasionally have some deep sea fish because I'm not really strict about anything.
Yeah.
A bit of snapper and stuff
Yeah,
at times because
You don't
hey,
want to
you've
be
gotta
too
live your life, right?
dogmatic, do you? Oh, you want to have a bit of, if your kid's having a birthday, you might
course,
want to have a bit of a birthday cake.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
but we eat pasta and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We make homemade gnocchi out of lovely organic potatoes and
You're all
some-
gluten. Yours is gluten free.
yes, we've been gluten free as a family for quite a long time.
Is that because of the GMO factor of the wheat, or is it that the gluten is a bit of an issue, or is that
All of the above. Yeah.
it's the same side of the
Yeah, really trying to avoid
Different side of the same
GMO.
coin.
I think GMO is just terrible news. Like, I mean, anytime we're modifying a plant to be able to accept more pesticides,
Yep.
herbicides,
Or also that we can
Terrible.
just spray the shit out of it
that's what I mean.
and not kill it,
You know,
and then we're going
Roundup,
to eat that.
Roundup
Come on.
ready plants.
Yeah.
I don't want my food
No.
bathed in glyphosate. I think that is just absolutely detrimental to human health.
So that's another one of Bobby Kennedy's podcast, the Defender podcast. He talks about how GMO food came about, and it goes back to glyphosate, which is Roundup, the weed killer. So that was a antifungal, antimicrobial. I think it was supposed to be ingested by humans. They worked out it's probably not good. The guy threw it in his backyard, and he killed his weeds. He went, oh, okay, well let's run with that. So it was a weed killer. Then they found out a certain weed didn't die when you sprayed it with it. They got the chemical compound from that, and then they injected that into wheat, corn.
Yeah, wheat
etc.
is one of the worst because they use it not only as a herbicide to control weeds, but they use it as a desiccant
Yeah.
right before
Yeah.
they harvest it.
Yeah.
So your
If
wheat
it's green, they can spray it and it kills it off. Yeah.
exactly right. So
Or
it
dries out.
speeds things
Yeah.
up. So wheat is absolutely bathed in glyphosate. So
Yeah.
actually, the reason that we went gluten free in the beginning is because my wife was gluten intolerant.
Ah, yeah.
So she's not a celiac,
Yeah.
but it doesn't agree with her. So we always tried to avoid it. And then I actually did it in sympathy for her because it's just easier
It is, yeah.
to avoid. Don't sort of have gluten in the house. So if we have bread, we buy like a sprouted quinoa bread,
Yeah.
other stuff like that, which I think is probably better for you anyway than
Yeah.
a bit of tip-top white bread from the supermarket or something like that.
And that's
Um,
so I avoid gluten, and I have done a test that says I'm mildly intolerant.
Yeah.
But I also think that it would have a lot to do with the glyphosate content.
I think that intolerance for most people comes from the fact that it's sprayed in glyphosate.
Yeah.
And I think this absolute epidemic in allergy that we're seeing
Yep.
is due to the fact that all our food is bathed in this.
Yeah. Well, it messes with the tight junctions in your stomach, opens them up, and allows
Yes.
foreign particles in, and
If you
then
get-
that's what the body thinks it's inflammation and is coming in to clean it up, and that's why you're inflamed.
Correct. If you get little tiny parts of food going into your bloodstream and your body tags that as an invader, then you're going to get an allergy to that, or you're going to get sensitized to that. You're going to get antibodies against it. So,
and it's going to recognize that for the future.
and I think most people don't actually realize that they're gluten intolerant.
No.
And there's a bit of a stigma attached, like a bit of a weakness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what, you can't even handle eating bread?
Yeah.
I think if you try it, like I tried it and I had zero problems eating bread, never felt better, just next level of energy. And if I eat it now, I do notice it.
I do miss toast.
So, yeah.
Toast smells so good.
Yeah. Well, I still have my
Fruit toast as
toast.
well.
I have my sprouted quinoa
Yeah,
bread.
that's
we go to a dedicated gluten-free bakery, and I still have some bread at times.
Yeah.
I try not to eat too much of it, but I do have a Mediterranean diet, so we do eat some carbohydrates. But yeah, in terms of my breakdown, I'm not too sure. Lots of protein, lots of fat, but also carbohydrates. So yeah, just seems to work for us.
Yeah.
I'd be keen to try carnivore one day, and I think I will. Just the logistics of getting it set up, and also the cost. I mean, we eat organic sort of grass-fed beef when we're going to eat beef, so it's a pretty big expense when you start getting into the cost of it.
Yeah, I mean, I ate a lot of mince.
Yeah.
So I would bit of mince. I actually, it's going to sound weird, but it tasted amazing. So I had a little bit of mince, a little bit of liver, an apple, and some honey, and that all went in together. Sort of 500 grams of mince with those couple of apples, a little bit of liver, and honey would give me 2 meals. I mean, I'm not a big fella, so that's maybe one meal for one person. But that the honey sort of caramelized a little bit, and it was really good. And for 2 meals, grass fed, 500 grams of beef mince, I don't know, $10. It's not super expensive. It's not like I was eating tomahawk ribeye steaks every night, you know. And the liver was about as big as a basketball, and was $2.
Oh, really?
Grass fed.
$2 a kilo.
No, $2.
Just $2.
Yeah.
For a whole liver.
Yeah. So we get our meat from a regenerative farm, a co-op of farms.
Beautiful.
Where is that located, mate?
I think they're in Williams. They're called Dirty Clean Food.
Oh, yeah, we have Dirty Clean Food mince a fair bit. Yeah, that's actually...
You can actually get it in some supermarkets, I think IGA and stuff, but we do an online order.
Okay.
Comes in, it's all frozen. They package it up, leave it at your doorstep.
Yeah, right.
It's all amazing, yeah. There's some good different cuts of meats and stuff, yeah.
And reasonably priced?
Reasonably priced. I mean, it is all, so natural, organic, grass-fed, regeneratively farmed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we can probably talk about regeneratively farmed, what that means in a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I think it's probably an environmental one that we can do. But
Going back to the meats, are organ meats cheaper to purchase?
oh, yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
Is that
But
because of a demand thing?
I think nobody wants them.
Yeah.
So they're just a couple of bucks.
Right.
I remember when I was a young fella, we lived in the country and we would eat brain from the farmers who'd give us some brain. And
Quite like brain as a kid. I used to eat a lot of, I think, sheep's brains.
It's all gooey and, yeah. I didn't like the kidney. I haven't eaten brain since I was a kid, but liver was, it's hard. It's hard to eat, so I don't do it anymore. I've got the desiccated organ supplement.
Yep.
Take that.
I think if you're going to eat liver, cow's liver or any liver is a detox organ. Get it from a good animal.
Yeah.
Don't get it from a feedlot animal that's been eating a whole ton of grains and a whole ton of
Yeah.
glyphosate sprayed stuff. If you're going to eat the detox organ of an animal, get it from a good, healthy, grass-fed, organic if you can.
Good call.
Cow. Look, I don't know if there's any science behind that, but it seems like common sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to look that up, but
Just from a common sense point of view,
yeah,
I think that would
I
be
don't think it's
a good move.
I don't think the organ stores any of the detoxing though, doesn't it? Detox it and get rid of it.
Yeah. There's probably some stuff in the intermediate phase when it gets harvested.
Yeah, well that's true. You can't obviously detox everything, can you? So that's probably that. But anyway, it was an interesting way to eat, but it's probably not sustainable. So I've gone back to, and I guess the thing is everyone's individual. We've got 3 people here, all eating different ways, but we've got to a point. Each of us have got to a point that really works for us, and we've dialed that in. We know what works for us. Like I know I can't eat certain things, tomatoes, garlic, onion gives me reflux, so I just avoid those. I can't eat those, so I don't. But I don't know if most people are tuned into, and until you eliminate those things, you don't realise the issues that it's been causing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was touching on with the gluten. Like the power of an elimination diet is huge.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favour, like do a fast.
Yeah.
And then slowly introduce some foods back one at a time.
Yeah.
And if one of them you react to, you'll know about it.
Yeah.
But if you're just chucking it in at a giant thing of lots of different food, you're not going to know what's
That's right.
not agreeing with you.
It
or
could
maybe
be
it's
anything, couldn't it?
not in a sufficient quantity. But if you're a bit sus about some things, like if you're not sure if you're gluten or dairy intolerant or if it's best for you, cut it out for like a week or two.
Yeah.
Eat the rest of your food, normal diet. I'm not saying fast for 2 weeks, but just cut out gluten and dairy.
Yeah.
And then one at a time, go to town.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks, smash milkshakes, whatever you want. Just drink a lot of milk for a day. See how you feel. Your body will tell you pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
And the same with gluten. If you eat it, you're getting a sore stomach, you're getting reflux,
Bloating.
flatulence, bloating, whatever, you will know about it. And if that's the case, then maybe have a think about whether you want to cut it out.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've talked about, listening to your body, and what you're saying there, Jonesy, is like people might get these symptoms, like you just said, you get reflux from tomatoes and stuff like that, but people are ignorant to their body and how it's behaving. So instead of just going, oh yeah, what I've eaten could possibly have caused that. Oh, I suffer reflux. It's a generic. I suffer reflux. Go to the doctor. I'll get this pill, whatever. Yep. Or I'll get eczema, or I'll get psoriasis on my skin. It's just a thing that I was born with.
Yeah,
you know.
Put some cream on it.
Yeah, it's how I am. Put some cream on it. There's no sort of awareness to look beyond that to see whether there is a cause of what I'm consuming.
Almost everything comes back to your diet.
It's
I think.
diet.
Well, for sure.
I'll tell you a quick personal story. My wife had quite bad eczema as a child, and even when I first met her in her early 20s, and completely cured it really with diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas there was no real knowledge of that going back 30 years.
No.
Obviously, we didn't have a good understanding, I don't think, of the role that diet played, or it certainly wasn't in the mainstream. If you went to the doctor, they would say, have some steroid cream.
Yeah.
Here you go, put some of that topical steroid on your eczema and that'll take it away.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll tell you
the root cause.
I'll tell you a personal story too, a little bit personal. So, but you know when you're a kid and you get bum worms?
Ooh.
I'm sure there are people out there who have had worms. You know, like and you go to the chemist and you get that Combantrum stuff, and you got these little chocolate things, and they get rid of the worm. You have to deworm the whole family. You got to clean the bed sheets and stuff because they often nest in your bedding.
So you had worms coming out of your bum?
No, they're not coming out of your bum. It's not like an alien movie or anything. No, but
if you had a good look up there, you'd probably.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I know of some some parents will get their kids' bum and pull them out. You can pick them out.
Wow.
Yeah. The worms come at night.
Where are we going with this?
At night time, right? The worms come. There is a point to this.
They'll have a circadian rhythm.
They do.
Yeah,
no, they come when it's dark. So generally, when you go on to bed, you'll feel these little bites or wiggles in your bum hole.
Yeah, but the butthole's always.
Sweetie, you're
dark,
looking at me like you've never heard of this before.
It's not in the front of my mind.
So when you were a kid, did you have worms?
Yeah, I'll say yes, but I had forgotten about it.
Yeah, well, see, I couldn't because even in my adult life, I was getting worms.
Right.
Yeah, but I
okay, I see where you're going now.
I thought something's got to be going wrong here. So I thought, and that's when I started doing some research on gut health and stuff like that. So I started eating fermented food. So I was having sauerkraut, and I still do now, and I've been doing it for years. Beautiful. I have 2 capfuls of apple cider vinegar, and that worm problem has gone. And I'm not embarrassed, but it was a thing that was happening in my bumhole.
Well, you don't want worms in your bumhole.
No, you don't. No, it's very uncomfortable.
Not when you're a kid, not when you're an adult.
No. But that I reckon I have readjusted my biome in my gut. And another example was that of when I was
maybe it was low stomach acid or something that killed it.
I don't know.
Acid, that apple cider.
And it wasn't vinegar. That I changed. I don't bite my nails, and often with kids with dirty fingernails or whatever, or pets, and you go and put your fingers in your mouth and stuff like that. You can often get worms, and they can be passed on from kids to kid as well when they're young.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I sort of kept getting that in my younger adult years. Anyway, talking about in my younger adult years, drinking a lot of alcohol, as you do, like getting together with your mates and stuff. The hangovers I used to have were horrendous. I would spend the next day spewing bile from the depths of my stomach up until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and it was yellowy, foamy bile. And I wasn't drinking any more than other guys.
Maybe just soft.
I tried to make sure I ate before I drank, because if I didn't drink, it would be worse. If I didn't eat before I drank, it would be worse. And like, I'm just talking about a normal session on the beers, and you're getting a bit drunk, you're having a good time. But since I've started the sauerkraut and the apple cider vinegar in the morning, I don't get those hangovers anymore. I have not spewed up any bile or had that reaction to it's like alcohol poisoning the next day. It's totally gone. So I reckon whilst I was drinking alcohol, I already had an imbalance somewhere in my stomach.
And it was making it worse.
Yeah, and making the worms drunk. I don't know.
In the darkness of your
so
butthole.
I can be a massive advocate for those sort of food. What do you call them? Fermented foods.
Yep.
Having two effects on my lifestyle.
Get rid of your bumhole worms.
I think like fermented foods, raw foods, prebiotic foods, amazing health benefits.
Yeah.
Everyone should have them in their diet if you can. Just find a fermented food that you like.
Yep.
I actually eat sauerkraut as well. I really like it.
Yeah.
Even yogurt, that sort of stuff.
They reckon that kefir is really good. They
yeah.
reckon that's got 50 times more of the bacteria or the microorganisms more so than yogurt. And often when you eat yogurt gets neutralised or burnt by your stomach acid, and therefore has nil effect.
Is that right?
Whereas the kefir, the microorganisms in kefir are more resilient and can survive your stomach acids more so. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll tell you, a big scam is this kombucha thing. We're all walking around drinking these kombuchas. They're real healthy.
Yeah.
A lot of them are full of sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe if you make a homemade kombucha and you do the ferment right, and
It's pretty hard to get right.
you've got your SCOBY and you're making it, and you make sure really all the sugar is fermented out, you're probably getting some good benefit. But if you're going down the shop and just buying one from Coles and it's full of sugar, I wouldn't recommend it.
Nah.
I think a lot of
The only
people...
thing it's good for is probably putting a bit of vodka in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Talking about the alcohol.
But
Well, we're getting towards the end here. So what are some recommendations, or I know it's I guess being a funny one, it's kind of individualized, I guess, is what we've been discussing. I think lowering carbohydrates, increasing your fats, having a sort of moderate to high amount of protein. What would you do? What, 1
Mate,
gram,
I would,
2 grams per?
If I was just to say
kilo?
to people, I would just, it'd be, I don't mean it to be a negative, but it'd be a removal of sugars, processed grains, your seed oils, and any processed food.
That's
if
a
you
great
wanted,
way to
if
start,
you wanted to start off with just getting your shit together health wise, those 4 items from a diet, if you can remove those, while still keeping all your good things, like I don't know, a little bit of a glass of wine or a bit of dark chocolate or something like that. Still enjoying, or some nice fatty carbs or whatever. Get into it.
Yeah.
But those 4 things, get rid of them.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice, I reckon. We talked about seed oils before, vegetable oils. I keep calling them seed oils, encompassing all of them. But if you remove those from your diet, any processed food you look at is sort of off the table. You can't eat it. That's a good place to start.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, that would be my advice. Just eat natural.
Eat
as natural as you possibly can.
Yep.
And for me, that means eat food that's not sprayed.
Yep.
If you can afford it and you can find it, biodynamic food is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the pinnacle of food, but it is hard to find. I don't think you could. Certainly, me where I live, I wouldn't be able to eat all biodynamic. One, because it would just.
What do you mean by biodynamic?
So organic, but then using other ways of sort of enriching the nutrients in the soil, using a whole ecosystem of incorporating animals and everything into the farming process.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's planting via schedule of the moon. There's a whole bunch of things to it.
Yep.
I think it's amazing. I think the food, they've proven that the food has more nutrients in it. So they've done studies where they've taken organic or biodynamic foods and they've looked at the nutrient composition of that compared to a monocrop, and it just has more nutrients in it.
Yeah. And just
So-
a simple fact of you putting your hands into some soil to turn it,
God, yeah, if you
Or-
could grow it yourself, even better.
or to pull a carrot out of the ground, wash it, and it might still have some of that good soil bacteria on it. How good is that for your gut health?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Even just putting your hands in it without eating it.
Yeah,
So good. Breathe in a few of the bits of soil floating around in the air.
exactly.
That's what we're meant to do. But
That's right.
that gets back to my point. Eat natural as you can. Don't eat foods that have a whole bunch of chemicals on their label. So getting back to what Chris said, processed food, it's no good for you. Grow your own food if you can. That's the pinnacle of health, in my opinion. And it connects you with nature. It's inexpensive. It's fresh. You're never going to eat better food. You'll feel better.
Yep. Good call.
Connect with nature. That's what it's all about.
It's a good way to finish. Connect with nature.
You've been finishing our podcast off with a very good bit of wisdom, Smithy. I like it.
Hopefully we've kept people to the end, because Smithy's come up with some pretty good nuggets in the last sort of. He's kicked a couple of goals in the last few minutes and won us the game.
Very wise man. I'll start calling him Yoda.
Yeah.
It's been good to catch up, fellas.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, until next time. And just so those people listening, the fourth person that is normally with us, Mickey Mack, he's had a couple of engagements over the last couple of podcasts, so we put in an absentee. Apologies for him. So he'll be back hopefully next.
We've talked about eating a lot of meat, and he's a vegan, so
yeah,
he hasn't had the right to reply. We'll give him that.
He's an incredibly healthy vegan that seems to be doing really well on it. So
yeah,
just goes back to our point of everyone does different on different diets.
Yeah.
exactly right.
So it'd be good to hear from him. He can give us a kind of. It's a shame he's not here to give us that other perspective.
Yeah, no doubt he'll have a listen to these
Yeah.
discussions and give us a bit of input next time he's with us.
Yeah.
Yep. Looking forward to having him back. And until next time.
Yeah,
Excellent.
good on you, lads.
Good on you.
See ya.
See ya.